Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Euro 2024. My name is Clayton, and your name is?
My name's James. I'm just taking my time about it because I don't want us to move too fast. I want to keep
Yeah,
on trend with England and do things quite slowly at our own pace.
Subsurging at halftime, and then we'll up the tempo then.
You think Sidge would up the tempo?
Yeah, maybe not.
Not quite. We're obviously going to cover England. We'll do that towards the end. We're going to cover last night's games. We're going to do a little bit on permutations for the third place teams as well. Let's start with Euro Fantasy first and foremost. How are we doing, Clayton?
Yeah, I had Carl Walker's clean sheet yesterday, which was nice, but other than that, it was Teo Hernandez with a three-pointer and Bukayo Saka with a three-pointer, who was my captaincy. So I am once again twisting the captaincy. I did have Pickford's clean sheet on the bench, but I stuck with Donnarumma's eight. So happy days. 45 points so far. I have got Romelu Lukaku and triple Portugal being made up of Ronaldo, Pedro Neto, and Nico Semedo's cousin to go.
Okay. How many points on?
Say that again.
How many points you on?
45. 45 so
45
far.
with
Yeah.
four to go,
With four to
including
go,
the
including
five
captaincy.
effective with captaincy. Okay. What about once you take the points out? You just take 2 pointers out.
Yeah, it's literally yeah, two pointers and a three pointer. So
I want a three
seven.
pointer. So that's going
Yeah.
to put you, what, 38 technically
Yeah.
going tonight. Okay. I'll be going into tonight on 47 with three Belgium, no Portugal,
Okay.
Castagne, De Bruyne, Lukaku. I captained Jude last night to snap to your Bukayo Saka, and an extra one from Mark Gay, ball recovery monster.
Nice.
Harry Kane, nothing as well. Teo Hernandez, three. My sub goalkeeper's Mike Mannion.
Oh, damn.
But I had Donnarumma as well, so it's
Okay.
worked out great. But obviously when Lewandowski went to take the penalty, I was like, "You're joking! I've not had that penalty
Yeah.
save yesterday just for this guy to save the penalty and actually beat an 8 pointer. You've got to be kidding me!" So he's ended up on a 2 pointer with the retake, which interesting. Lewandowski knew straight away that he was off his line.
Yeah.
Um,
Not a
yeah,
fan of those run-ups.
no, it does feel a little bit unfair on the keeper, I think, because
Yeah.
you're stuttering and stuff, and he's moved at the last minute because he thinks he's shooting and he doesn't. And yeah, I mean, it's becoming easier to score penalties, I think, under the rules. But then nobody wants Jersey Dudek 2005 all over again. With
No.
apologies to the Liverpool fans. So we're both twisting captaincy tonight. For
Yep.
me, it's a little bit more straightforward. It's Lukaku or De Bruyne for me. And I think I'm going to go with a big man up top.
Yeah.
He's due, and
He's
he's
got to
got to
cash in.
be.
He has got to.
It feels that way, yes. Plus, there's certainly circumstances tonight where Ukraine may have to um, win the game, possibly.
If Ronaldo starts, who would you go out of Ronaldo or Lukaku?
I think if well, Martinez has said Ronaldo starting.
Oh, okay. I
That's
missed that.
confirmed. Yeah,
Sure.
we don't know much of the rest, but he said that Ronaldo's starting. I'd be very tempted, I think, because that's a definitive Georgia have to win.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, the choice Lukaku Ronaldo tonight, I think I would go Ronaldo.
That's where I've been thinking all day. But yeah, I think I'm going to go for it. Like the fact that I put him in on limitless, it feels like a bit of a waste to not go and captain him now.
Well, I went Ronaldo last time rather than Lukaku, and it was the same outcome. So I'm probably going to, I'm definitely going Lukaku this time. I'm tempted with De Bruyne. One of the interesting facets of this tournament from a fancy perspective feels like lack of. I mean, it's tough getting captaincy
It
returns
is. Yeah.
because
Well, Hall's particular.
the premiums have largely been misfiring. And what's also interesting is this certainly goes. The format's the same as UCL fantasy. In UCL fantasy, you really want the fullbacks,
Yeah.
but in this tournament with the ball recovery stuff, it's really felt like just go with the centre backs
Yeah.
quite often, and we might discuss that a little bit more once we know the full lineup for the last 16 tomorrow. Um, I want to talk about the potential outcomes for tonight because you said to me off camera before we started, are we not definitely playing the
Yeah.
Netherlands
So
then?
I was under the impressions England are playing the Netherlands Sunday night, Bosh, and Apparently, there's more permutations to it. So talk me through it.
No. So Wikipedia is a dangerous site to use when you're doing reading and research because anyone has the ability to go and edit it. But it's always on point for stuff like this. In terms of who can play who. It's a really good tool. Just go to Euro 2024 and then scan down the groups and you'll find the permutation of who can play who. So the Group B winner, which is obviously Spain, will play the third place of E or F. For England, there are two permutations that mean we play the Netherlands. There is one where we play third place from Group E.
Okay.
For the Group E winner, they will play either we now know will be Slovakia, not Slovakia, sorry, Slovenia or the Netherlands. For Portugal, they will play Hungary or Slovenia.
Okay.
That's what we know. So, what does it take for England not to play the Netherlands? Well, it's really straightforward. Basically, I'll simplify it like this: Hungary not to go through.
Okay.
That's
Mm.
the simplistic way to think about that happening. Now, it's highly likely that third place of Group E is obviously going to get a place. That's highly, highly likely. But there is certainly a permutation here that could be quite awkward for the Ukraine.
Yeah.
So, in the circumstance where Ukraine lose tonight to Belgium, which is probably a probability,
Yep.
they would most likely finish bottom of the group because their goal difference is inferior to others. Remember, they're all level on
They're
points at
all
the
on three
moment.
points. Yep.
But if Slovakia lose to Romania as well, then Ukraine finish above Slovakia on the head-to-head
Oh.
because then there's a separate. You only got two teams on 3 points rather than four teams on 3 points, and then it's the head-to-head. But then Ukraine's goal difference will be bad because
Yeah.
they lost 3-0
It
to
does.
Romania. So they're going to be on at least -4, which would put Hungary through. So if Ukraine finish third tonight, that's England definitely playing the Netherlands,
Yeah.
basically. Otherwise, anyone else in third is likely to go through as one of the better ones. So if Hungary finish above Ukraine, that's it. It's the Netherlands. Now, if Group E goes through, for us to avoid the Netherlands, we obviously need third of F to go through. So that requires one of the Czech Republic or Georgia to win tonight, and also would mean Czech Republic not winning too badly, because if they beat Turkey 3-0, for example, then their goal difference is worse than Hungary's as well. So
Yeah.
it's not just that. You need it to kind of be a narrow victory. So it's about a 70% probability at the moment that England will
Sure.
play the Netherlands. There's about a 30% chance that it will be Group Group A, and I think we'd probably be quite happy with anything from. I mean, we shouldn't be happy with anything at the moment, but we'd
No.
probably be quite happy to say anyone from Group A. It's unlikely to be Belgium. The only way it would work that it's Belgium is third is if they obviously lose tonight
And
to Romania and Ukraine beat Slovakia.
yeah. I mean,
No,
no.
Slovakia beat Ukraine. Sorry,
Yeah.
Slovakia beat Ukraine because then it's Belgium better head to head than Ukraine.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it could mean, by the way, that if the Netherlands don't play us, they'll play the winner of that group, and it might be that you've got a third place team is heavily fancied to beat a group winner in the last 16. The draw has obviously opened up massively.
On
The
one side,
highlight
yeah.
of the day from an English perspective yesterday was the giddy feeling on the way going out to watch England rather than actually watching
Yep.
England and thinking, oh my God, this is the best bit of the tournament. We're already dreaming of the final. We've been shit, but it is remarkable. We had a conversation. I can't remember if it was Patreon or a public pod, but I had a discussion with you yesterday about which teams would definitely dominate England from possession. We're kind of like, yeah, Portugal, Spain, Germany. We
Yeah.
all knew they'd be on the other side if we won the group. And then you were throwing France into that as well. So the five favourites going into the tournament with the bookmakers was the four teams, Portugal, France, Spain, Germany, have all ended up on the other side of the group as long as England won the group. England pissed their evening up the wall and still won the group.
Yeah.
It's worth saying, kids, that if anybody thinks England beating Netherlands, Italy, Belgium is like cool, straightforward or
Not
anything,
a given
or
by
or
any
by the
stretch.
way, alternatives such as Switzerland and Austria, it's not
Not
going
a
to be.
no.
It's not going to be. But that kind of comes around on a loop on why I'd have played Adam Wharton yesterday. But we won't go back to that because that's clearly not going to happen now. Let's talk the Group D conclusion first.
Yeah.
Quite nicely, we didn't discuss this would happen, but you watched France and I watched Austria. So go on, go first with France, mate.
Yeah, I got into the pub I was in, and they were showing Netherlands on one screen, France on the bigger one. So I thought, let me get onto the bigger screen for the better view for the England game. It looks like I picked the wrong game. Netherlands Austria one sounded
Yeah,
great. To be fair, I did enjoy the France Poland game. It was literally, if I could summarize it, it was how can we channel everything through Mbappe? It looked like anything that was going to happen was going to come through him, and there were some really nice moments from France. To be fair, like it's interesting because what you said yesterday about not sure about France actually dominating the ball, I could see it yesterday. It was quite end to end. I wouldn't say they had sustained possession. And you know what? It felt like I was watching England in periods as well. I wasn't overly impressed.
careful.
Yeah, no, I know. But if I'm being honest, I wasn't overly impressed. But yeah, on the counter though, they look electric when they're going off. And like Dembele, I know his end product is inconsistent, let's say. But he does get into brilliant areas, and that's the thing. It's like if decision making's better, you worry about if they can click in the final third. Barcola on the left, he disappointed. I think I've heard quite a lot about him, so I was quite excited to see him Kante doing Kante things like hoovering up, but final pass was lacking quite a lot when he got into the final third. But it genuinely felt that every time Mbappe was on the ball, something was going to happen. Defensively, Upamecano, he looked quite shaky in my opinion. But Poland were getting through. Like I wouldn't say they created any chances per se, but I think they got into areas more consistently than France would have liked, where they could have threatened them if they were a bit more effective in the final third. But fundamentally, it was two penalties, right? And Mbappe put his one away, and Lewandowski's was well, I don't know if it was controversial. It's harsh on the keeper because I think when
It is, but by law, it has to be
by
retaken.
law it has to be retaken. So yeah, it was a very entertaining game from the perspective of two teams that were just kind of going end to end, in my opinion. But yeah, not overly impressed by the French so far, if I'm being honest.
No, look, we've been here before with France, and again, I think it's important for all the teams to say, certainly the ones that are favoured in the competition to go far. The tournament starts this weekend.
Yeah,
After today, basically, is when the tournament really starts. It's not to mean you should bin all the information, but jeopardy comes into play. You have to start winning football matches. Um, they must be gutted though, France. That they, I mean, after Poland equalised, were they all out to win it or not? I mean, because
yeah,
the stats say they've had five big chances, so
yeah,
should they
that's
have
what.
won?
Yeah, they should have, and that's what like I probably didn't do it justice when I said everything was coming through Mbappe. Like they got into, like the keeper like, made a couple of really good saves, and yeah, they had really good chances, but didn't really feel like it was actually going to hit the back of the net. So I don't know if it's like on another day it does, and we're talking about a 3-4-0-1 game, but yeah, it was poor finishing.
Mbappe played through the middle, right?
He did, but he drifted left quite a lot.
Yeah,
Like
that's what he
very,
always does when he
yeah,
when he plays in that position. When you look at average positions pass plot maps from this game yesterday, the amount of ball not used in central areas, say like what the cool kids would call like your zone 14 and stuff, it's quite striking.
yeah,
Everything goes wide.
it does, yeah. That
I don't know if that's because they're playing against an opposition that is not going to dominate the ball. And, well, fair grade play to Poland, playing for pride here, basically. Obviously, better off with Lewandowski in the team as well. But the expectation very much on France to dominate here. You're less likely to have those incisive, fast counter attacks against an opponent like this than, say, almost like a Spain, basically, in a weird, it might be that Spain's a really good matchup for France where they absorb, pace, go. Could be,
yeah,
but everything is so wide dominated that you wonder if when they're trying to break a team down, if you'd be better off get Mbappe back on the left and have almost like in a game like this, like a Giroud.
Giroud, yeah.
Yeah, maybe
He did
through the
come on.
middle.
I want to say he came on around the hour. But if I'm being honest, I didn't notice anything systematically hugely different. Yeah.
No, and I don't think we should read too much into this yesterday in terms of what's next. I presume that Griezmann would come back into the team, for example. Clearly likes Rabiot's used him in looks like three different setups basically
Yeah.
so far. He's used Rabiot, so definitely wants him in the team. Kante is going to be part of the team. Dembele is obviously getting favoritism on the right. I think for the next stage, it might make it awkward to take punts on France players. The other thing for Euro Fantasy is a lot of these guys are classified as forwards,
Yeah.
and inevitably, with the extra budget we'll all have in the next stage, you're still going to probably want a bit of Mbappe.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, 100%. He
they're
he
gonna
is like
they'll play the
yeah,
runner up from tonight's Group A, but then they'll I mean, you're now looking at quarterfinals should the favourites win Spain v Germany and France v Portugal.
yeah.
I mean, yes, please.
Yeah, but like good luck from a fantasy perspective, good luck putting your eggs in baskets and knowing which one's gonna get through, right?
Yeah.
It's yeah,
Those games, by the way, would be played on this on the Friday, I believe. Next,
okay.
not this coming Friday, but next Friday in the quarterfinals. That's what it works out. So yeah, clear your schedules, kids. I would
Yeah,
suggest for those two games
that game would be
because the
great.
two fixtures that would be worthy of being the final. That's a real cock up though that France have not won that group.
Big time. But for
Um,
Austria,
yeah,
how was that game?
really, really impressive. I'm gonna sit here like I don't get much right, but this is the I
You
told you
did.
so dark horse.
I said that to my friend I was with last night. I was like, "Oh, this guy said Austria was the dark horse." That's the only dark horse I've heard called correctly so far.
Yeah, hit the sub button below, kids, and all that shit for more expert analysis that you don't get on Planet FPL. Actually, though, scored 3 goals off of next year of less than one in this game, and were clinical and
Was it
ruthless.
really? Wow.
Yeah, what is so striking with them is the pressing. I mean, for those, probably just to clarify, for those outside Europe at the moment, it's got a lot hotter over the last couple of days and suggested over a week ago, temperature's going to change. How is that going to impact on a side like Austria and the way they go and press? They are so aggressive with it. It does make me think that there might be a game where if they go behind and they get it wrong on the day, they'll get picked off and they could lose badly.
Sure.
I'm telling you, this team is capable of getting to the final because of their structure and the way they set up. That's not
What's
to
their
say they
route
will,
look like?
but they're on the England side.
Yeah, okay.
So if you said to me now that Austria was going to be in a semi-final, I'm not surprised. Really, really wouldn't be. They're a very, very capable team. They're well coached. That
Yeah,
is
very well
clear
coached.
as day. It's a 4-4-2, and they're aggressive in structuring what they do. I'm looking at Arnautovic playing yesterday. I'm thinking, oh, that will really impact them with what they do. No, they've got a real plan for what they do. But of course, because they're very aggressive off it, if you do beat the press, you are going to create chances against
Yeah,
them. And that was seen yesterday. I mean, it's worth saying off the 3 goals off of 1xG, one of them is brilliantly finished by Daniel Marlon, who
yeah.
does all the brilliant work in terms of tracking back and getting back into the box, and then finishes brilliantly like a forward. Austria at the start of the game in the first half hour were excellent. If I'd have put the two teams and not told you who they were, there is no way on what you watched you'd have gone, that's a Dutch team.
Wow.
They were bad.
Okay.
But Austria forced a lot. I mean, Arnautovic missed a super chance to make it 2-0. They took off Joe Veerman after half hour, basically, and brought Xavi Simons back into the team. There was a suggestion that some of the Dutch rotation was due to yellow cards picked
Okay.
up previously in the tournament. Okay, we're going to leave these. That it's worth saying the Dutch knew they were through, right? This was
Yeah.
the worst case scenario. And actually, sure, the Dutch might end up playing England, but they might think that's all right. And
Yeah,
the
probably.
Dutch have landed on the better side of the draw. In a weird way, the Dutch are better playing England now than going on that other side of the draw. Not that I think they were planning to finish third. I think they were planning to obviously win this group. They played Luttrell Ruder at right back, which was a real surprise when we saw the teams. Dumfries versus Frimpong, Dumfries versus
Yeah.
Frimpong. Oh, let's play them both as per the last game. And now neither are playing. So, it did feel a little bit strange. And I watched him quite a lot because guess who he's been linked with a lot very
Okay.
recently? He's been
Tottenham,
linked
yeah.
with Super Spurs, yeah, or not so super. Well, I think I watched Emerson Royal.
Oh, okay. So you don't want him then, no?
We never went forward.
Was that tactical instruction?
Yeah, gotta be, yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta
okay.
be. That's the first time I'd ever seen him, but it was nothing there to make me, oh yeah, that's the inverted right back I want.
Yeah, sure.
No, he held back. Aki pushed on more down the left hand side, but he just didn't really work. I think once again, when Cody Gakpo gets on it, there is a feeling like things can happen. Depay took his goal really well.
I've seen the goals, yeah.
I mean, that was weird when it got disallowed. And
Yeah.
it took a really long time, and it weren't English referees on VAR. But it got disallowed. You could tell Depay straight away was like, "It's fine. I'm not bothered." It's like hit me on the. He wasn't even. You know when people claim for handball and they'll touch themselves like on their
Yeah.
chest and stuff.
You,
He's touching himself like on his thigh. You're like, okay, must be all right. You saw one replay and everyone, yep, that's a goal.
yeah, it's fine.
Come on, chop chop, get moving. You've stole the moment there a little bit.
So how long did it take? Because I just saw the goals pop up on the other screen that I was watching France Poland on, so we
It was a
didn't see
couple of
him.
minutes to give that goal.
Oh, okay.
Way too long. Way too long. Um, I think with them, I'll be careful here because there's a chance that we're going to play 'em. Look, could the Netherlands beat England? Quite clearly at this moment, anyone in this tournament that's still going to be in it could
Yep.
beat England. Okay. But I did say this to you yesterday that I'd be more worried about playing Austria than the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I think some of the stuff I saw defensively that I'd been impressed with was really concerning yesterday. And again, it won't play many teams like Austria are going to go and like press like that. But De Vrij, who I thought was really good in the first two games, was not good yesterday. Um, his movement for Marcel Sabitzer's third goal, he's gone on a wander. I don't know what's gone through. Well, I do know what's gone through his things. I'm going to step out and press, and he absolutely shouldn't do. I don't think when I look at the midfield, there's nothing there. I quite like Rinders, but there's nothing there that they're going to dominate. We ain't going to get the ball
No.
off them or
Yeah.
anything like that. There were some teams in this tournament described as like France, I think, right? France, despite the brilliant attacking players they've got, are going to be a really difficult team to beat. The Dutch might be a difficult team to stop in terms of what they can do going forward. But I think anyone will create chances against them. I think I would be if you said now these two teams, one's going to get to the final, nothing would
You
change my
think it would be
opinion that
Austria?
Austria would be the more likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But that draw has opened up, and we could get someone from that side. Does a grace, but if the Dutch do it, they won't be doing it in Greece fashion. I think they'll have to rely on quality at the top end because there's question marks on their ability to dominate the game, and I think there's some question marks defensively. It should also be acknowledged. As I said there's a few players have been left out here
Yeah.
as well. Austria are going to be really, really dangerous.
From a
And
fantasy perspective, obviously you can change your whole team. Would you be considering any Austrian assets going into the knockout rounds?
um, well, there's certainly going to be some players there that can enable, right?
Who's the
Absolutely, there
best
could
ones?
be. But I'll be really honest with you, Clay. I've not looked too much at the pricing of their assets and because of
Yeah.
the group. So it's something I
Yeah.
want to go and analyze. It's worth saying, Baumgartner, who a lot of people gambled on match day two, he didn't start for Austria um, either yesterday, but has ended up coming on the pitch and having an impact towards the end in the last half hour. So they've arguably not played their strongest team either. He'd probably be the one, but I don't know if there'd be any question marks now
Yeah.
on the fact that he didn't start yesterday. I guess one tip for people as well going into the last 16, particularly those who've obviously used both their chips already, is you want to be aware of the yellow card situation at the moment. It's
Yeah.
only two yellows to get a suspension, right? And there's a number that'll be picking up ones now will get suspended for say the last 16 of quarterfinals. I think it's wiped after the quarterfinal, isn't it?
I'm not
That's
sure.
the,
I need
that's
to check
yeah,
that.
it's after the quarterfinal to make sure no one misses a final, basically. Which then always, by the way, means you've got players in semi-finals who take very, very deliberate yellow cards.
Yeah.
Fine, it is what it is. So yeah, I'll have a little bit more of a look at today, I think. Although I'm impressed with them as well, though, Clates. You've seen it again yesterday. They're going to concede goals as well.
Yeah. And so, like, you obviously said it's 3 goals from less than 1 XG. I'm looking at the stats now, having not watched the game. Netherlands XG was 1.73 to Austria's 0.95 on the app I'm using. Did Austria deserve to win?
Yes, I think so, in my opinion, particularly because the first half hour. So consider we talk about it a lot, right? Game state. So you've got a period where Austria have been by far the better team in the first half hour. The Dutch then become to come into it a little bit. They scored really early in the second half, really well taken
Sure.
goal by Cody Gakpo. But then each 12 minutes later, they get in front again. So then, okay, we're winning. They know they're winning the group at this point as well, right?
Yeah,
Then Depay equalises, but then Sabitzer scores again quite quickly afterwards.
that's the thing.
Um,
Yeah, it's like
which I did miss because I turned it over for the penalty in the France game,
oh,
but I
fair
have
play.
seen it back as seen by me calling out De Vrij. So yeah, they're nowhere near the Dutch what they've been in previous forms. I think there's obviously some outstanding individuals in there, and yet because they are the Netherlands, if England are playing the Netherlands on Sunday, I think the whole country goes into this is tough.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's no reason to think England are going to make anything easy at the moment. There
No, not
really
at
isn't.
all.
But it will also be, I think, quite a different opponent to what England have had so far.
You did say
It
that, to
might
be
even
fair,
be more,
before.
well, I don't think it might be. It will be more enjoyable
It will be
until
real.
we get beat.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see because, like, I wince when I hear you say England will create chances or get chances because, on one hand, I'm like, oh, we haven't created anything of note yet. But then I'm thinking, what if teams do come to play us and there is a little bit more space for us to attack? Like, yeah, tactically, it might pan out differently. So, should we talk about Group C?
Yeah, let's just touch on Denmark. We're not going to talk about it much
From
because obviously we
seven
haven't watched the
goals
game, but I
to none
saw
in this group.
those who did essentially said you thought England, Slovenia was bad. Well, this was no better. I mean, for Serbia to post the XG that they did of sort of 0.3 when they had to win the game.
One shot on
I
target
watched
for
the
them.
little bits of the highlights last night and at least expected to see, scrambles from corners or something like that near the end. And it was like one effort that, was headed onto the roof of the net from a distance. They've not had a big chance in the game. They only had 5 shots, Serbia.
Yeah.
I stand by my opinion though, even though they're the team that went out from this group. That was the toughest game for England.
What against Serbia?
Yeah, I'd stand by that comment. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. They've let themselves down massively when you realize they've got Mitrovic, Vajovic, Jovic, Tadic behind it in and out the team. I'm not quite sure why Milenkovic Savic came out the team, but there's some good offensive players. And all you've done is score one goal from a corner
Yeah.
in injury time against Slovenia in your 3 games. Pretty, pretty
Disappointing.
pony, so deserve to go out. Denmark, we know will play Germany. And therefore, that's from a fancy perspective. I think you probably largely rule Denmark out. You'll be looking more at Germany. I mean, Gundogan, Musiala, Mittelstadt is all going to be really popular again.
Yeah.
The strength in Denmark clearly lies defensively. I think the back three, as a combination of the three and how they work together, is actually one of the better ones in this tournament. The players we know, Anderson, Vestergaard, Christensen, I think they've been better off since obviously going into the England game. They switched Vestergaard and Christensen around, and that's to make sure Vestergaard doesn't get exploited going out into a left back position, give him the cover of the two players with a little bit more athleticism either side of him. We know what we get from Hjulman and Højbjerg in midfield.
Yeah.
I do think there's often been a narrative with Denmark that they might be more suited to the bigger game. The manager spoke about that again last night as well. He's like, we'll be well up for Germany. We'll be confident going into it. I think we should also acknowledge last night that although Denmark obviously had it in their hands with what was happening with England to go and win the group, it only took one moment at the other end and you were out.
Yeah.
So it was a really difficult balance for them last night, I think. So I don't think we should be too damning on them because I think if you listen to most Denmark fans pre-tournament, you'll finish second in this group. Fine. They probably would have looked at it and gone, we hit the last 16, we're probably going to play Germany. So it's not something that's suddenly going to come as a
No,
shock to
that's
them
not a
going into it.
surprise.
And so there's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if there's prep been pre-done to
Yeah,
think there's
probably.
every chance we'll land and play Germany. Up front is issues.
Yeah.
So Jonas Vind and Rasmus Højlund isn't particularly working. It took Vind off after he'd got booked, left Højlund a little bit more isolated. Again, the 0-0 was fine for them and Serbia weren't threatening. But again, I even reflect on the game that we had with Denmark, and as shit as we were, I was quite clear in saying, don't be misguided by thinking, oh, Denmark deserved to win. No,
Yeah.
they didn't particularly either. Um, and it doesn't sound like Denmark have deserved to win any of these three games. I find it difficult to foresee that they'll trouble Germany, other than if Germany trouble themselves to the extent that they fail to create big chances. If
Yeah.
Germany create chances, they'll win this game, I think. But the longer it stays 0-0 could become an awkward one.
Yeah,
But
it could
you
become a
can't see
tight one.
Germany not beating them, I don't think.
No, I think that's the thing. Like, I back that Germany team to create the chances. So, yeah, I think they'll create enough where even if they fluff a few, they'll create enough to get the win.
Right, England. So it was the team that I think David Ornstein, I think, was the first to report. It was obviously going to be Gallagher coming in for Trent, was the only
Yep.
change. What did we think, Clayton?
Of the game or the
Well,
lineup?
how do we feel this morning? Are we like, oh, look at this great draw, or are we like,
It's
this is
coming home. We
this
won
is
the group. No,
this is murder. This is
it's
shit. Like,
it
what is
is
it?
it is.
Nobody is saying it's coming home, by the way.
I've no
Anyone who's saying it is doing it completely taking the piss at this minute.
Yeah, it's the vibes are very different, aren't they, to previous summer tournaments under Southgate, where I think summer 2018 it was like football carnival in the streets of London and stuff. And yeah, first half, I think the okay, positives. I do think the pressing was better.
Agreed.
Uh, I do think that was a lot better. Unfortunately, it just felt like there was a gaping hole in midfield, which we spoke about in terms of the problem and the solution not being to add in, with respect to him, a Conor Gallagher. It was more to get someone that can come in, progress the ball, get on the ball, move it around. And I can't remember if we said this at the start of the pod or off air, but Mainu comes on second half. You said within 60 seconds you thought it was better. Within five
Yeah,
minutes,
literally that quick. One minute.
within
Yeah.
5 minutes, I was saying to my friend, like, I literally think he's had more touches than again. I don't want to single out Gallagher. It's more like the profile of player I thought we needed for the game. So that's why I'm comparing the two. And I thought it was instantly better with Mainu in there. You could see even the distances between Rice and Mainu, they were closer together. They were able to pass to each other a bit more, progressing it through the field. Mainu was making the runs in and out, linking play through the thirds. Was much better. But then I say that we didn't really create anything. I thought Palmer was excellent when he came on in
Mm.
that short cameo. So I think there's a big selection dilemma there, whether Saka keeps his place, whether he does go to left back like you've kind of hinted at before, or if Palmer comes straight in for Saka. But
He's not
lots,
gonna he's not gonna change it now and put Saka at left back. Surely if he was gonna try it, it was last night, wasn't it?
yeah, you don't, yeah, I don't know, but then I wouldn't have said Southgate was
We've
the
done
kind of guy
three
to,
group games and Luke Shaw might be getting close now, and now we're gonna do it. He
I don't know,
doesn't add
yeah,
up.
yeah, I'm not sure. I also didn't think Southgate was the kind of guy that would make a tactical change at halftime, so you never know. But it's weird, like you look at 73% possession, but it's an expected goals of less than one. We didn't really
Not
create
just
anything.
73%, 79% in the second half.
Yeah.
XG is 0.20. No big chances in that second half. Six shots. I thought the start to the second half was really good.
So did I. You
As
could hear
soon
the
as
fans in the stadium getting
as
behind them
soon
as
as
well.
Mino came on, I want to say I want to kind of slide this as more of a Kobe Mino positive than a slam Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
But the things that I thought that Gallagher would even do well, i.e., that kind of that running into that channel to free Saka to come inside, like Mino was even doing that better.
Yeah.
I felt we just looked a better football team when he came on the pitch. It's worth saying, again, to repeat, we were playing an opponent that was obviously clearly very happy with their lot. And I think we all saw that at full time. And good luck to them, by the
Yeah.
way, right? That's a good achievement for them to
Oh,
get out the
massive.
group
Yeah. Fair play.
unbeaten. Good luck to them. And they deserve the draw that they got last night through our inability to create chances. The football was better last night. It was definitely a step forward from what I'd seen on the previous two. And yet it definitely hit a buffer sort of with 20 minutes to go. It was like this momentum is sliding a bit.
Yep.
We're not going to score here. And then there was also, it was a little bit like the Denmark scenario where you could say, oh, England go all out for victory. And well, Denmark ain't winning either. What
Yeah.
we going to do here and potentially throw this away? And obviously we knew we were through. But if we'd have landed with a third place, you can end up on either side. We knew that a second was going to be pretty bad in terms of walking into Germany first and foremost, and then that side of the draw. Why were we all so happy about France's result? Because we all know there ain't no way that we're beating Germany, Spain, and
Yeah.
France or
Not a
Portugal
chance.
consecutively. Let's be really honest about it. That's the reality. So I get that there was a small element of jeopardy. I mean, if we'd have lost 1-0 last night, I, I'd I mean, I'd certainly go out and watch the game on Saturday night if that's when England had played. But my expectation on what we do in the tournament would
Yeah, be
be
on the floor.
ridiculous. You
Yeah.
know who the favourites for the tournaments are with the bookies this morning, don't you?
Don't say England.
Yeah. Of
What?
course it is because of the draw. Of course it
Is
is,
it,
mate.
or is it because English people are idiots and will waste their money?
By the way, do you know who the favourites on the other side are now? Now that France have gone over there?
Is it still, would it be Germany?
No, it's Spain.
No, it's Spain. Yeah,
It's the
wow.
team that's impressed, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
they are.
Spain are second favourites in the betting behind England now. And yes, we know it's weight of money, etc. But it's only going to take one good result for England here, and it's going to pull
Yeah, and
forward, right?
that's the thing. It's interesting because I think players like Rice, Bellingham, Kane, like I don't think they've kind of given the best account of themselves in the last couple of games, especially like on the ball. I think there's a lot that can be improved, and that's where you do. I don't know, trying to be like glass half full. If it clicks, then you never know. But from what we've seen so far, it's not looking good.
Let's do some positives.
Go for it.
And we're going to do a pod on Patreon today. We're going to go in a lot more detail about England. Um, Firstly, we've conceded less than 1 XG across the 3 games in the group, which I shit group and all
I
that.
was
Right.
just gonna
Yeah,
say,
it's like half of anybody else. It's
okay,
comfortably the strongest defense so far. And again, arguably with what we've had in that group, with what's it, 7 goals scored across the 6 games, like it's disastrous for the quality of a group. Arguably the worst group in tournament history. I think 7 goals were scored in Group C in
last night.
2016 as well, which was a group that featured Northern Ireland,
But
Germany,
literally last
Poland, and
night
Ukraine.
in Group D, there were 7 goals.
Uh, yeah. Actually, let's do some stats now. So I tweeted last night, a
Okay.
little bit tipsy heading on the way home, and I tweeted, "Has anyone else ever won a group with only 2 goals scored in a major tournament?" And I wasn't catfishing, but we did that at the last Euros, Clayton.
At the last one.
Yeah, we won 1-0, drew 0-0, and won 1-0.
Damn.
We also did it at Italia 90. Drew 1-1 with Ireland, 0-0 with the Netherlands, and beat Egypt 1-0. So 3 times England have won groups at major tournaments, only scoring 2 goals. And what happened on the previous 2 occasions? A semi-final
Yeah.
and a final. There is one team who has done it on less than 2. Shout out to local Stigmatic, who responded to me on Twitter. Said Italy topped their World Cup group in 1970, scoring just a single goal. They drew 1-0. They won 1-0 and drew their other 2 games 0-0 and won their group. For the record, they then beat Mexico 4-1 in the quarterfinal and beat West Germany 4-3 in the semi-final in what's largely considered probably the greatest extra time in football history, because West Germany equalised to make it 1-1 in the 90th minute of normal time. Italy went ahead 3 times in extra time. So then they got to the final, scored 8 goals in their 2 knockout games. Northern Ireland also won their World Cup group in 1982 with just 2 goals scored. And just to add on an extra to make you feel better about England, he's also added on, he said, Puskas is Hungary in 1954, won their 2 game World Cup group, scoring 17 goals. They won 9-0 and 8-3. which many of the older generation may consider the greatest team never to win the World Cup because they very surprisingly lost to West Germany in the final. That's a long way from talking England and defensive
I
positivity.
was going to say, we are stretching with copium there.
There's definitely things that we wouldn't change in this England team. One is the goalkeeper, and two is the two centre backs. We can all be quite happy with that at the moment, I think.
Yeah. Even saying that,
Mark
though.
Gay made one really, really bad pass that gave me kittens last night, but I thought
Yeah.
largely again was really good.
Yeah. I thought Stones in a couple of moments was a bit sloppy on the ball, to be fair, but
Yes, I
might be
don't know
being
if that's a
harsh.
lot with. I feel with John sometimes because City is a lot of absorb pass. I want you to play. I spoke about this yesterday. Well, we need to play quicker, and it's times where John's got the quality, and I think you either step out or pass out quicker. And he's I don't want to say ponderous on the ball. That's really, really unfair, but just slow in his makeup of what he's doing. I thought Declan Rice was much better than Denmark plays. I mean, that Denmark performance is as bad as I've seen him over the
Yeah.
last couple of years. And once again, I thought Phil Foden was really good last night.
Yeah, I did.
He's absolutely trying to get involved. He's having to do harder work than anybody else in the team because the position he's playing. There's a couple of times between him and Jude Bellingham, they got the press wrong, but you would certainly right to say that England's press was better in the game. If Phil Foden is the sacrifice from this to get us better balance, I'm not happy with that.
What do you think is the sacrifice to get better balance?
Well, I don't think there will be one.
No.
The team that he'll pick on Sunday is almost definitely just going to be Mino in for Gallagher, and that's it. We
You
go
don't
again,
think he
isn't it?
will do Palmer for Saka?
Well, defend your boy.
I know I'm asking what I think Southgate will do. I think he might. And to be honest, I can't really argue it, but like from the perspective of like I don't think Saka's been bad, but what more can Palmer do in a cameo to force his way into that team?
The thing that was blindingly obvious when Cole Palmer came on, and again, I'd like to speak to you more about this on the pod we do later today, was he instantly gave England an air of creativity that did not exist without him.
Yeah,
And he was quite dynamic in terms of trying to take people on the outside and stuff as well.
yeah.
But
He's very aggressive in
when he
the
gets
way.
on it, you feel like he gives you that air. I speak about he makes the right decisions, but he also gives you that air that he can play that really difficult pass.
Yeah,
Um, and there isn't anyone else in this squad that's or in the team that's making you feel that way at the moment. Now, to counter that, Saka offers you that real kind of touchline, hold the width, the imbalance England have to the left hand side, like it or not, it's probably going to continue. Saka holds that really well on the right hand side. Palmer, you want to go and drift. It's notable though that before Saka came off, he was beginning to drift into more central areas.
yeah,
But if you want it, there's a lot of Bellingham or Foden kind of debate. And the reality is we generally probably want them both in the team. Is trying to find a way to make it work. But if you put Palmer in the team, you're also basically putting another number 10 in the pitch,
yeah,
which I don't hate the idea of that. If just on paper, Foden, Bellingham, and Palmer as part of a 4-2-3-1 behind the front man, fine, cool. But you want them to go into central areas. Something has to happen to make that work. You have to have adventurous fullbacks.
yeah.
And England aren't going to play with
And
adventurous
no,
fullbacks, or at least not two at the same time. So if you play Palmer on the right and you say to Carl Walker, go and be Carl Walker at Tottenham 2017, Carl Walker, that's fine. Or play Trent as per the end of the game yesterday, fine. But again, when the games get more difficult, he's definitely not taking Carl Walker out of the team.
no.
Then you can do it. But then the obvious one here is Gordon. And by the way, Anthony Gordon, in his 1 minute plus added time on the pitch, played the best pass in the match
Yeah,
from a deep line central midfield position,
yeah,
which highlighted the massive deficiencies that we have within the team in terms of playing through lines. Was that this guy's the first one who's done it in 3 games. It's the
yeah.
first pass that any England players played in 3 games that has been a forward, vertical, like 25
Like
yard
quite an
pass along the
aggressive
line,
punch. Yeah,
cut people out.
yeah.
What? And that was the pass into Mino that then created the
Great
the
flick.
flick and then
Yeah,
Kane's touch into Palmer and the chance. And you looked at that one moment and it encapsulated, oh, there's a team here.
yeah,
And that involved 3 very young players who had been as substitutes in the game.
yeah.
So
How are you feeling then?
that left side is a massive problem. How am I
Yeah.
feeling about England? Better than I did after Denmark. I was pretty low after Denmark. I think not with the result, just what you're watching. Yesterday was better, but then we're also playing a team that's not as good as Denmark either. With respect to Slovenia, there's bits I like about them. They're 4-4-2. I think the fact that they start in that as a starting position means they don't have to morph themselves into it without the ball, because many other teams morph themselves into that system without the ball. So they're quite stationary in what they do. They never threatened over the top. I spoke about them playing direct, not long, direct balls into channels. That was never a threat during the game.
No.
I thought they started quite well, actually, in the first 15 minutes or so. They've had one shot on target, which was the Sesko header early
Yeah.
in the game. It's like Pickford caught it.
There
It's
was a
nothing.
10-minute spell where we couldn't really get the ball off them, to be fair, wasn't
Yeah, we started badly. I suppose maybe if we look at the first two games and analyse that England scored a goal and then got worse, maybe it was better for us here that we didn't, but then we didn't score at all. The reality is, whoever Slovenia play in the last season probably going to get beat, aren't they?
Yeah, you'd think so, but never know. I think it would be likely.
If we were playing Slovenia again on Sunday, would you fancy us?
Yeah, but not by like more than a one goal margin.
But why would it be different? Would you just think, oh, we'll score this time? Or
Yeah, it's just like variance of football. I think there's just too much quality. I keep saying to myself, there's
keep
too much
saying it.
quality in this England team for it not to. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I think it'll go and click and we'll score 3-4 consistently, but more the floor we're talking about here is one goal. Like it's bad.
Going into the tournament, I think we're really concerned defensively. That clearly has been strong, but we've also played three teams who are not the best defensively. I've already spoken about even Denmark's weaknesses going forward. So, how do we judge that? The way we do defend, though, is going to give us a chance. It's the
Yeah,
opposite
it
of saying
will.
you've got, because the reality is, with the good players we've got, they only need one moment. Like the disallowed goal was a great piece of football. Clearly, obviously, offside against Foden. But the link there with
It was a
Foden,
beautiful
and
passage, yeah.
ironically, chance created from the left, by the way. So like it
Yeah.
can be done. The link with Rice is good. Saka gets off the touchline to finish. Shows that there is something in there, but no one feels like it's building with any serious
No.
momentum.
And I think my concern-ish about the so-called good defense, which I agree statistically so far, just more what happens when we play better opposition.
I'll let you know if we see Austria in the semi-final.
Yeah, I think that is, yeah. We're obviously doing the patron pod later, right? Where I'm sure we'll go into a lot more detail about it.
I think reality is for probably the fantasy heads in here. I would be very surprised at this stage if the team on Sunday wasn't exactly the same team that started yesterday, except Kobe Minor will start.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a definitive minuin for Gallagher, but yeah, I if I had to put money on it right now, I think it would be the same and just that one change. It just part of me thinks, yeah, what more can Palmer do based on that cameo?
But you then be happy for Saka not to play, or are
I
you
wouldn't
or,
be
or are you happy 2 weeks later to go? Yes, James, play him at left back.
uh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Um yeah, but again, I don't think Saka is a problem there.
Do we
Um
now, having played with respect three fairly defensive sides, want to play against the Dutch, who will throw someone like a Marlon, or maybe even against us, they might even play Frimpong back in that position, and then go, oh, now we're going to move Saka to left back.
No, that's what like, I agree with you. Now's not the time to do it, but I think like would I lose any sleep if he was to do it? No, not really. I think it's where I'm at with it. Saka, Palmer, the right wing is. I don't think Saka's an issue there at all. But from Palmer's perspective, when you come on and perform like that, I'm not sure what more you can do to try and force your way into the team. So it'll be harsh on Palmer, I think, if he doesn't get substantial minutes. But yeah, I'm happy either way.
Harry Kane was not good.
Yeah, he's not been brilliant, has he, this tournament?
Jude Bellingham,
Mate, he's been poor on the ball.
I mean, if you ask me right now, play one of Bellingham or Foden, I'm not dropping Foden.
Same.
But there is no way to take Jude out of that team. We all know
No.
what Jude is capable of. And we only sat here, 10 days or so ago and eulogizing about how good he was against Serbia.
Yeah.
But remember some of the things I said on that pod about I'm watching him off the ball and you're leaving me with question marks, but I'm forgiving it because you're giving us so much at the top end. He's given England nothing over these last two games.
Yeah. Like his off the ball movement is incredible. Like the runs he makes, but he kind of tries to force a pass. Even Kane put a brilliant ball into him where he kind of ran on the shoulder and like his first touch wasn't great, but
Oh, why do you want Harry Kane to drop deep? Oh my goodness. What do we need, by the way? When I asked for it's a pot,
runners.
which is why as well you think
Yeah. But this is what I
Anthony
mean.
Gordon would
Like,
be so much better for Kane.
yeah, like this sort of it's yeah, on the Patreon part, there's a lot we need to talk about tactically in this manager. But going back to that point on Bellingham though, on the ball, I'm not sure he gives that much um to this team. Well, based on the last two performances anyway,
There's no
which is
way
a
to
bit
take
of
him out.
no, I know. And I'm not suggesting he should either, but it's also okay to say, yeah, he's not really added much value the last couple of games.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much, Kate. Captain tonight, then you're going to
I'm going
go
Ronaldo. Yeah, I'm gonna
Ronaldo.
go for it.
Yeah, I'll be on Lukaku. Clates will be back with me for the review of groups E and F tomorrow. We might touch on tactically a little bit more if we know it is going to be the Netherlands, perhaps. If you want to catch that podcast on Patreon today, you know what to do. It's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. That'll be available for intermediate plus tier patrons and above. And a reminder as well, Patreon is free for our paid subscribers in July. So if you want to sign up now, you've got July free. I am taking a week or so off at the end of it, but everything we post will be available. And by the way, everything we post in Patreon in July, you can have from basic tier. So you'll get the advanced tier content even at basic tier in July. So if you want to support the show, www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. And that'll make Suj really happy because I keep forgetting to promote it now that he's not here at the moment. I hope you're traveling well, boss. If you're listening, which sees me to say cheers, Clates. Play it your way in Euro Fantasy if you're changing captain today. Cue music, please, man child.